Behind almost every major fight in the European Union, there's a battle about money. And the mother of all battles? The negotiations over the long-term budget. In Brussels speak, multi-annual financial framework. A couple of days ago, the European Commission presented its first proposal.
The budget covers the period from 2028 to 2034. It amounts to 2 trillion euros, a whopping increase of 67% compared to the current budget of 1.2 trillion euros. The spending would rise from 1.13 to 1.26% of the EU's gross national income.
Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the proposal is a comprehensive overhaul of the EU budget to make it simpler, more effective, and better aligned with European priorities. But what exactly these priorities should be is now up to debate among the various stakeholders, national governments and the European Parliament. That begs the question, what do Europe's citizens consider a priority?
Myślę, że szkolnictwo, bo to bardzo kuleje w naszym kraju.
Niech pomagają biedniejszym, bo na obronność są środki wystarczające.
Głównie na bezpieczeństwo, na obronność, no i chyba na działania przeciwdziałające bezrobociu młodych.
I know Erasmus Plus and programs like this are always the thing that people think of very fondly when it comes to the EU and its involvement in their lives. And I would like to see more funding for these kinds of exchanges.
Il n'y a pas que la défense, il y a aussi le côté humain.
Pour moi, la priorité, c'est d'abord l'environnement, ce qui est développement durable et puis la richesse.
Let's bring in Gerardo Fortuna now, who has covered this story for Euronews. Good to see you, Gerardo. So the presentation was preceded by discussions that were marked by extraordinary secrecy. Now, based on your reporting, tell us a bit about the process of how the sausage is made.
The Commission put up a system that could reveal spy movies because it's a classic example of compartmentalization. So they divided people working on this dossier into groups, and these groups only had access to information necessary for carrying on their tasks. And more strikingly, the figures, which is what matters, numbers, were shared with commissioners themselves only a few minutes before taking the final decision on the budget.
So you've covered many budgets. Looking at this draft proposal, what are the main characteristics? What is different compared to the last time?
There's a lot of the lessons that Ursula von der Leyen learned in her first mandate, where she faced unprecedented challenges like the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, COVID pandemic, increase in energy prices. The EU needs more agility, and that's the main characteristic, moving money from one pot to another when it's needed. And the other one, of course, is simplification. We used to have over 50 funds, now we have just fewer. Cohesion policy, so regional funding, and common agricultural policy, EU farming subsidies, will be merged into a single pot.
So what happens next? When will the final budget be approved?
It will be a long and highly likely difficult road ahead. Now the Danish presidency of the EU Council is supposed to come up with what we call nego box, so a negotiation piece of paper to start the talks between EU leaders by December, the next EU summit in December. And then, of course, some major countries like Germany already expressed concerns. It's going to take 1 or probably 2 years. There's also the European Parliament involved, but the Parliament just have to sign off. They can't amend, so they just have to approve the final deal as it goes out from the EU leaders' table.
The Commission's blueprint remodels the budget structure along 3 main pillars. 865 billion euros for agriculture, fisheries, cohesion and social policy, a merger of traditional funds that has already been criticised, especially by farmers. 410 billion for competitiveness, research and innovation. This includes war-related defence infrastructure. Around 200 billion euros for external action. That includes support for Ukraine. Around 25 billion euros per year will be spent on paying back the Pandemic Recovery Fund.
Joining me now at the European Parliament is Carla Tavares, member of the Committees on Budgets and Budgetary Control from the Socialists and Democrats from Portugal. In your opinion, is this a realistic budget proposal that covers all of people's needs adequately?
We think what the total amount that we have for the next MFF, it's not enough because we have new challenge in the European Union. We have defense, we have competitiveness, but we need to still work together in the cohesion, in agri, in employment, in health, in education. So we think it's not enough what we have in the proposal from the Commission.
So traditionally the biggest items in the budget are the common agriculture policy and the cohesion policy. This time they are lumped together and they're facing severe cuts. Are these justified?
We need to saw the new architecture of the next MFF, but we think it's not good to merge the agri programs, the support to the farmers, and at the same package that we put the cohesion. The Parliament don't defend this way to the next MFF. We defend that we need to still have separated the agri and the cohesion from the big package that you have, another all funds that you have in these areas of this MFF. When you separate the agri and the cohesion, you put ones and others to fight for the budget, and we think it's not a good idea. It's not a good way for the future.
And finally, what about investments in the fight against climate change? Is this still a priority?
For the 27 member states, it's a big priority in the next MFF. It's important to remember that the next MFF begins in 2028 until 2034. So it's very important for the member states have a tool to react it when we have some problems, but at the same time have the capacity during all years invest in these areas to prevent some issues in the future.
Whether the Commission's budget proposal will survive in its current form is highly unlikely. In fact, some financial heavyweights like Germany, the Netherlands and Sweden have already rejected the numbers game. They believe the budget is too big and too expensive.